Hello, Robs. We're back with new book arrivals number 256 or 7. I'll say 57. I don't know. First, let's take a suck into my air life so I don't get pneumonia. Oh, I did it wrong. The goal is to keep it between those two things and then get this as high as you can. Whew. So I don't get pneumonia from my cracked ribs, broken ribs, whatever they're called. 21st Amendment Brewery. No sponsorship, obviously. Pumpkin India Pale motherfucking ale. It's not all that great, which is why I still have some left from last October. Let's get on with it. I believe I already have this book, Mary Beard, Women and Power, a manifesto updated. Was it Mary Beard friends with Mary Wollstonecraft, or am I making that up? Britain's best known classicist, Mary Beard, is also a committed and vocal feminist. Oh, this is a newer chick. In Women in Power, she revisits the gender agenda and shows how history has treated powerful women using examples ranging from the classical world to the modern day. Beard explores the cultural underpinnings of misogyny, considering the public voice of women, our cultural assumptions about women's relationships with power, and how powerful women resist being packaged into a male template. Like how there's that glowing, whatever you call it. It's 25-cent book, so can't really lose. Although I feel like I lost anyway. Let's take another breather. It's harder to do when it's so close. Hell yeah. Pneumonia be gone. Lermontov, a hero of our time. He was considered, people have been fed on sweets too long, wrote Lermontov. Bitter medicines and harsh truths are needed now. A Hero of Our Time was published in 1839 40 and ranks as one of the earliest of the great Russian novels. Pechorin, the hero, was offered to the public not as a model, but as a condemnation of the period. Restless, cynical, disillusioned, sometimes cruel, he shares with many 19th century Russian heroes a sense of superfluousness. Nevertheless, Pechorin is a romantic figure and belongs to the world of Byron and Pushkin rather than that of Chekhov. Anton Chekhov. Obviously, look at that fucking Chumbawamba. Hey, I'm a Chumbawamba. I was an early writer. Gogol and Hermitov were my favorites. No, Ayn Rand was the best Russian writer. I don't care what anybody says. This one is some schlock. Mary Stewart, The Crystal Cave, 10 months on the New York Times bestseller list. Her most magical, enchanting novel. Was the famed magician of Camelot and King Arthur's court really a sinister, all powerful being from another world? Was he truly a prince of darkness, or was he a man with the loves and passions of other mortals? A man with unique intelligence and unusual gifts? Why was he so feared? How did he come by his occult powers? Why was the Crystal Cave so important to him? Mary Stewart's novel brings to vibrant life one of the world's great legends and sheds a fascinating light on the turbulence and mystery of 5th century Britain. I assume it's not very good, but it's got a great cover. And it's gothic romance and I don't know if that's a dude. Kind of looks like a dude since he's got no breastises. Here we go. Bloods, an oral history of the Vietnam War by black veterans. Wallace Terry, that brother throwing a fucking grenade. It's like goddamn Bob Gibson. Oral histories can never be better or more significant than the talk that went into them. By this measure alone, Bloods is superb. The 20 blacks who discuss their experiences while serving in the Vietnam War are uniformly eloquent. Bloods is the story of how members of a race that had been wronged historically were sent off in disproportionately large numbers to kill a colored army or enemy, protecting a system that had never protected them to any comparable degree. An engrossing, heartbreaking record full of the drama of real tragedy. That's the tragedy of the leaves. Past life therapy in action. Dick Sutphin, Lauren Lee Taylor. If your life isn't the way you consciously want it to be, there is subconscious programming that must be overcome. Your conscious and subconscious are in conflict as a result of past programming in this life or in a previous lifetime. 28 exciting case histories which show the problem in the cause and, most important, the lessons from a human potential trainer's perspective. Includes a breakdown of the 5 types of karma and which are most responsive to the fabulous technique of past life therapy. In the regression we just did, you asked us to go back to the primary past life influence in us today. Mine was a lifetime as a shrewish old man who was interested in nothing but money. I got the lesson that money can't buy happiness, only love can, and I've even seen that in my life now because I'm really not materialistic. I'm more interested in spiritualism and love. That's where I'm having problems. Shut up. Shut the fuck up. Valerie Sherwood, This Towering Passion. Look at that face. This Loving Torment. Oh, a new novel by the author of the best-selling This Loving Torment. They called her Angel when she rode bareback amidst the battle to find her lover. They called her Mistress Daunt when she lived with Geoffrey Oxford, though she wore no ring on her finger. Wherever she traveled, men called her Beauty. Her name was Lenore, and she answered only to love. Love. What was this? What year? I guess 1967. No, I guess later, 73. 78 by Valerie Sherwood. She hesitated, afraid to trust him, but realized she had no alternative. She shook his hand away and flung out. His low laugh followed her as she eased through the doorway, looked up and down to see if it was safe, and then fled down the dark, narrow street, hugging close to the house frontis, stifling a scream as some roof tiles, loosened by the musketry, crashed down beside her. Just stains on there. That's cute. All right. Holy Warriors. A modern history of the Crusades. Compelling, flamboyant, and refreshing. Jonathan Phillips. This one's been at the thrift store I usually go to for quite a long time. And 2009. Can never go wrong with some Crusades. A woman of unusual wisdom and discretion. Queen Melisende of Jerusalem. May God's curse be upon them. Relations between Muslims and Franks in the Levant. Deus Vult. In his remarkable book, Jonathan Phillips explores the conflict of ideas, beliefs, and cultures, and shows both the contradictions and diversity of holy war. He draws on contemporary writings, on chronicles, songs, sermons, travel diaries, and peace treaties to throw a brilliant new light on people and events we thought we knew well. Although the notion of fighting for one's faith fell into disrepute in the Enlightenment. Phillips traces the crusading impulse from the bloody conquest of Jerusalem in the First Crusade and the titanic struggle between Richard the Lion and Saladin up to the present day to George W. Bush's characterization of the war on terrorism as a crusade. We are anonymous inside the hacker world of LulzSec, Anonymous, and the global cyber insurgency. Parmy Olson. That's a fucking great name. Parmy. What year is this book? ISACA, Information Systems Audit and Control Association, Detroit chapter. We are anonymous. I don't have any too many internet related books. 2013. Originally published 2012. There's Parmy. Parmy's cute. We Are Anonymous is the first full account of how a loosely assembled group of hackers who were scattered across the globe formed a new kind of insurgency, seized headlines, and tortured the feds, and of the ultimate betrayal that would eventually bring them down. Parmy Olson goes behind the headlines and into the world of Anonymous and LulzSec with unprecedented access, drawing upon hundreds of conversations with the hackers themselves, including exclusive interviews with core members of LulzSec. The Jewish Way in Death and Mourning. It's funny that I saw this book at Bookstock, where I went again today, and they wanted $4 for this book, and I was like, I want the book, but I'm not getting it. And then I went to my normal thrift store today, and they had it for 50 cents. So now I can learn about the Jewish way in death and mourning. Let's see what it says. Your rabbinic erudition and your ability to present our traditional point of view in modern terminology will make the Jewish way in death and mourning a book that will be great service to rabbis and laymen alike. No, the ache of the heart will not suddenly disappear. There will be no miraculous consolation. But Judaism does teach the aching heart how to express its pain in love and respect, and how to achieve the eventual consolation which will restore us to humanity and keep us from vindictiveness and self-pity. Mourners obligated to say Kaddish. The primary obligation to say Kaddish falls upon the son of the deceased. It is he who is required to recite it, he and not his sister, he and not his relatives, he and not someone paid to substitute for him. The son brings merit to the father. In the visions of Rabbi Akiba, it was the son's recitation that saved his father, and it was he who had to learn it for that reason. Not even the Kaddish of Rabbi Akiba himself, the spiritual giant of the age, could serve as a substitute. The traditional selection of the son is not a matter of personal preference, depending on the family situation and the parent-child relationship. It is a clearly defined obligation placed upon him by tradition, and he may not shirk this sacred duty. In past generations, an only son was frequently referred to by his parents as the Kaddishal. One simply may not delegate an agent to fulfill a personal religious obligation, as one may not ask a relative or pay a stranger to fulfill the obligations of the fifth commandment to honor his own parents. So may one not recite the Kaddish for parents after death through a hired medium. The prayer without the person is bare. That's the Jewish way in death and mourning. Copper trails and iron rails. More voyages into Michigan's past. I believe I already have this book, but it was 25 cents. What the fuck? Get it? All aboard and welcome to another in the series of voyages into Michigan's past. Once again, we'll tour the length and breadth of our great state. We'll visit 17th century Sault Ste. Marie, 18th century Detroit, 19th century Singapore before it was swallowed up by sand dunes, and in the 20th century we'll hop on a buckboard with Booker T. Washington for a jaunt through the famous black settlement in Cass County. Where are we now, bruv? There he is. Dr. John Harvey Kellogg. Dr. John. The man who hated to walk. There he is, up Mice and Conman. Fort Wilkins, where time stood still. Copper fever. Yeah, right. That's copper trails and iron rails. Let's see what we got next, bruv. Middlemarch by George Eliot, which I believe was a woman. V.S. Pritchett, no Victorian novel approaches Middlemarch in the wit of reference, its intellectual power, or the imperturbable spaciousness of its narrative. A.S. Byatt is the author of the book prize-winning novel Possession. What's that got to do with anything? I don't know anything about Middlemarch, honestly, except that it's written by George Eliot, who I believe was, Mary Ann Evans, the Victorian novelist whose formidable intelligence and profound psychological insights pushed fiction into new realms as she chronicled provincial life in 19th century England, was born at Aubrey Farm, Warwickshire, on November 22nd, 1819. She grew up nearby at Griff House, an ivy-covered farmhouse in the parish of Chilvers Cotton, or is it Coton, began to absorb the intricacies of English rural society while accompanying her father on his rounds as an estate agent for various properties. Well, that doesn't really tell you much about the book, but let's grab some beer. Basic writings of Kant, not Kant, but Kant. Is pretty much pseudo-intellectual. No matter what conception one may form of the freedom of the will in metaphysics, the phenomenal appearances of the will, i.e., human actions, are determined by general laws of nature. Like any other event of nature, history is concerned with telling about these events. History allows one to hope that when history considers in the larger the play of the freedom of human will, it will be possible to discover the regular progressions thereof. Thus, it is to be hoped that what appears to be complicated and accidental in individuals may yet be understood as a steady, progressive, though slow, evolution of the original predispositions of the entire species. Thus, marriages, the consequent births and deaths, since the free will seem to have such a great influence on them, do not seem to be subject to any law, according to which one could calculate the number beforehand. Yet the annual statistical tables about them in the major countries show that they occur according to stable natural laws. And that's Kant. I don't know why it's got a man, but there you go. 50 great horror stories. It's a pretty good cover. And I found this bookmark from Bookstall in the Main, 116 East Main Street, Northville, Michigan. Paperbacks, hardcovers, children's books, and special orders. Wasn't inside the book, but I slapped it in there. Now it's mine. The Werewolf of St. Cloud. Lycanthropy. Who wrote this? The Werewolf of St. Cloud. The Hand of Father Arrowsmith. Start reading these. Who are these by? Do we know? The Werewolf of St. Claude, Ronald Seth. J. Wentworth Day, Ronald Seth. Who the fuck are these people? I've never heard of them. Ronald Seth. Let's see who they are. See who the authors are. Ronald Seth, the author of Witches and Their Craft, has been interested in witchcraft and the supernatural since his 9th year when he witnessed a hostile act of black magic. Frank Usher is an author, journalist, and criminologist with wide interests and knowledge. Under his pseudonym, Charles Franklin, he has published The World's Worst Murders, World Famous Trials and Spies of the 20th Century. James Wentworth, the author. Anyway, this book looks pretty good. Visit from a Vampire. Glad I got this. The Exorcising of this Monk. Yeah, this looks pretty good. The Girl in the Train. The Black Dahlia. What year is? I guess 76. It's just weird to guess, but it's probably more likely the 80s. What the fuck? MCMLXXI. I'm gonna guess that's 19. I don't know what year that is. Originally published in 71. Maybe 2000. I don't know. I don't fucking know. The Man Who Turned into a Cat. Book intrigues me greatly, bruv. The Short Stories of Catherine Mansfield. Don't know anything about Mansfield. In this single-hand volume, designed by W.A. Dwiggins, are gathered together all of Catherine Mansfield's short stories, previously available in 5 separate volumes. The 88 stories in this 700-page book total some 300,000 words. Catherine Mansfield was born Kathleen Beauchamp in Wellington, New Zealand on October 14th, 1888. She published in a German pension her first book of blah, blah, blah. The Modern Soul. The Baron. Who is he, I said. And why does he sit always alone with his back to a shoe? Ah, whispered the Frau Oberrig. He is a baron. He's a baron, bruv. How Pearl Button was kidnapped. Let's see if there's any markings in this book. Let's see if there's any cash in there. You got nothing going here. All right. Catherine. It's heavy. I don't want the spine as I lift it like a fucking and a half. Trap, a thriller in 2 acts by Ira Levin. I paid $4 for this at. Whoa! What the fuck? That ain't cool. I have to delete that. Maybe. I don't know if I have to delete it. It's quick enough. It's a great looking cover. Nice copy. In good shape. Obviously the author of, what was Ira Levin? Author of Damien? Is that why I have one of his books? God damn. What was his famous book? Rosemary's Baby. That's what it was. Anyways, The Death Trap, a 2-act play, or thriller at least. The treasury of Jewish folklore, the stories, traditions, legends, humor, wisdom, and folk songs of the Jewish people. I know it's unfashionable to speak of Jewish people these days, but I don't give a fuck. Most of the good books that I bought at the book sale, what's it called? Bookstock, were Jewish books. Jewish mysticism is a rather interesting subject. This book's in rather good shape. I haven't looked at the boards, but I assume they're in likewise good shape. The Treasury of Jewish Folklore. Check out the boards, buddy. Yeah, nice. Ironically, there was about 5 copies of this same book, but they were spread out throughout the book stock. Some in fiction, general fiction, some in literature, some in Jewish and religious section, and then I don't know where the others were. But I got it because it's in nice shape and it's the best of the bunch, even though the spine is a bit faded. Nathan Alsubel. Right. Finally, the last book, The Garden of Eloquence, a rhetorical bestiary. And when they mean bestiary, they mean bestiary. Is this by Willard R. Espy? Hendiadys, one by means of chew, the expression of an idea by two words connected by and, when normal usage would be to subordinate one to the other. Hendiadys was a frequent ornament of Greek and Latin poetry, as in Cupid shot an arrow and gold, for Cupid shot a golden arrow. In English, the usage is confined to a few informal expressions such as just try and hit me, for just try to hit me, or nice and cool for nicely cool. There will be ample opportunities to try and ensure the existence of a friendly Lebanese government. From morn to noon he fell, from noon to dewy eye, a summer's day, and with the setting sun dropped from the zenith like a falling star. Well, the only reason why I got it, to be honest, is that to buy with credit at the book sale, you had to spend $10. I only had $8 since books are $4 a piece, so I said, fuck it. I'll find another book. The gardener called another cat, this one named Sinathrosmus. It was a very special sort of cat, a pussy cat, a kitten, kitty cat, a tomcat, Tom Mouser, Chessy cat, silver cat, chinchilla cat, blue cat, Maltese cat, tiger cat, tabby cat, tortoise-shelled cat, calico cat, alley cat. Part of all these, or all or part of them. This was the song of Sinathrosmus. O mangy cat, O scruffy cat, O one-eyed bob-tailed tuffy cat, your fleas and meows from foot to bed. You mouse-destructive quadruped, at times you are a lazy sort, a dozing lackadaisy sort, asleep all day upon the bed with paws up-ended quadruped, a give the sofa leg a swipe, rub up against the pant leg type, but still, dear cat, when all is said, a worth the bother quadruped. Sinathrosmus, Sinatremus. Oh, it's Sinatremus, pardon. The piling up of adjectives. Invective seems to lend itself more readily to the piling up of adjectives than praise does in most of the tirades listed under Bedilgamia would serve for Sinathrosmus as well. This is true for both of these. He's a proud, haughty, consequential, turned-up-nosed peacock, Dickens, Nicholas Nickleby. Page is this 137. Synecdoche. I want to see this one. The bestiary. See if we can't find some good bestiary photo. Oh, there's the croc. The prototype. There's a horse. Or is that a unicorn? It's a horse or a pony, one of the two. There's that. Climax. Series of statements in an ascending order of intensity. Oh, who's this fucking guy? That's ironia. The use of words to convey the opposite of their literal meaning. Covert sarcasm. All right. See if I can't find something to put in here. There we go. That'll be in this book. Or in my next video. Ellipses. Whoa, who's this fucker? Diphthong. There's a fucking category. Orange cat with a bushy tail on his head was a plaid cap. Pluralism. Peter Pumpkin Eater had a wife and couldn't bang her. He put her in a pumpkin shell, and there he fucked her very well. Let's put this in there. We can't put that in there. It's got my name on it, bruv. See what else there is. Better fold that, bruv. You better fold it. Peter Pumpkin Eater. Wind from the west. That's him. Oh shit, who's this? Maybe I'll find something. That's all, bro.